Hey tribe, Dawna here from Transformational Healing, and today I want to chat with you about what apothecary means to me and a little bit about how I can help you to maybe perhaps view apothecary in a slightly different way. Alright, so I want to hear from you guys in the comments what you think apothecary means. I want to know what everyone thinks apothecary means. Or when you hear the word apothecary, what is it that pops into your head? Hello, Bridget. How are you? Hi, Stag Squares. Welcome to my live. To me, apothecary means medicine. But slightly different than what you might actually be thinking when you think about medicine and apothecary. So, Personal Space Creations, Bridget says, the mortar and pestle pop into my head. Well, that's very true, because we think about medicine. We think about combining things for medicine. So, to me, it does mean medicine, but it means medicine in a very holistic sense. So, what I might consider part of my apothecary might be a lot different than what might be in your head. So I just want to see that we are actually over in the group. I shared it. Make sure it's there. Open up the comments over there. All right. There we go. So comments are all set in both places. Okay. So grinding natural ingredients into medicine. That to me is very, very true. So when I think about apothecary, I think about packages like my herbs or bottles, nicely filled bottles, and I think about orange and skullcap to help you sleep. Orange maybe is to add some spice or a little bit of wake me up to something that you're working with. Yarrow flower is a great styptic. If you're having problems with bleeding, it can really help slow down bleeding issues. And lobelia, which is really great to help open up your chest and open up your sinuses and help you breathe. But I don't think about just the herbs. I also think about the other things that I have in my house that are apothecary. So the physical balance. I see apothecary as things that can help you to get back into balance. So medicine that helps you to get back into balance. So that's a lot of things. And there's lots of different types of balance that we can talk about. So when I talk about the herbs that you might have in your apothecary, most of those are to help you bring you back to a physical balance. Sometimes they can have some of the other effects, but a lot of times those herbs are for physical balance. And then spiritual if you're talking about different types of herbs. Hey there, Regine. How are you doing today? We're talking about apothecaries and how I think apothecary is a little bit different than what you guys might think. So these are turmeric and thyme out of my spice closet. Spices, to me, can help you come back to balance. They are nutritional in your food. They make your food taste good. They can have medicinal value, like anti-inflammatory for the turmeric and opening up your sinuses for the thyme. And garlic and ginger and all those things are also great. So food is part of your apothecary. If you have like stocks of rice and beans and good vegetables and things like that canned up, that is actually part of your apothecary, because your apothecary are those things that help you as medicine to bring you back into balance. Well, food definitely brings you back into balance, especially when you can think about the spices and the vitamins and the nutrients that are in all of the different foods and how those things can help you get back to balance. So other things that I consider part of my apothecary would be vitamin C. Let's see. We have vitamin D. And for vitamin D, which most of us are deficient in, I prefer these liquid drops. So if you ever have questions about that, send me a message. And no, it's not an affiliate link. You can take turmeric in apple cider vinegar to help with inflammation. And I have things like the fire cider, or fire astragalus in apple cider vinegar. That's my old bottle. That's what I used to call it when we weren't allowed to call it fire cider. So yes, food is definitely medicine. Bridget from Personal Space Creations agrees with me. So those things that I showed you are on my main medicine wheel along with a bunch of other things, but this is part of my apothecary. So this is all of my tinctures for when I'm on the road. Very hard to see here, but so when I'm on the road, there are a lot of tinctures that we take, and I just realized that I need to shift one of my cameras over as I'm trying to win something. One of my cameras was showing in the other one. Sorry, Facebook, you're getting blocked out a little bit there. So this is my tincture apothecary, and it's half empty right now because we have taken things out to use in the house, and this is how I fill it when I go on the road. So, salves bring you back to physical balance when you are having issues with your skin. I consider that part of apothecary. And then we slide into other types of apothecary as well. I keep my essential oils in there. So perhaps you use homeopathy. Homeopathy is part of my personal apothecary because I believe that it works and that it works well. And having worked with naturopaths in the past, they've really taught me to think about how to heal the body holistically. So food is apothecary. Vitamins are apothecary. Herbs and spices and all the different things that you might have around your house are apothecary, as well as the herbs that you might get from me. Those are all things to help you physically get back into balance. So let's move on to other things that might be considered apothecary. So I think that essential oils are apothecary. Now, the analgesic pain oil is a physical cure. It's not the mental emotional. A lot of times we consider the essential oils to be like a mental emotional healer, but essential oils can also be a physical healer. Things like tea tree and stuff like that are often added as antifungals, or lavender to help with a burn. And we don't put these things on directly. We always still cut them. This is not the pure version. This is the cut with sweet almond oil version of the pain oil. And it also comes in a salve. So that's how you can use essential oils as part of your apothecary. Or you can use, see, peppermint and tea tree. So can you add a single drop of peppermint essential oil to your batch of cookies and make mint chocolate chip cookies? I do it every Christmas. And sometimes you can add a drop if there's a lot of sugar in something to a drink. Like I can add a single drop to a big batch of hot chocolate. So, and yes, Bridget says, but when the pain is gone, it is so much easier to balance the mental and emotional. And that's what I'm actually getting to. So we talk about physical balance. We talk about mental, emotional balance and how aromatherapy can help to balance us in a mental and emotional way. Those are part of our apothecary that help that. You also have other things that help with that, like meditation and breathing and taking mindful moments and being here and in the now. So all of those aspects totally intertwine, which is what Stag Squares just said. So we talk about the mental emotional health because it's not that this causes this and this causes that. It's that they are all completely intertwined. They're all interdependent on each other. If you are feeling off mentally and emotionally, it's going to affect your spiritual and your physical health. If you are feeling off spiritually and disconnected, that's going to affect your, or can affect your mental, emotional, and your physical health. And if you're sick physically, that can affect how you feel mentally and emotionally and spiritually. They're really all intertwined. It's not one or the other. So when I talk about apothecary, I also talk about spiritual apothecary. So this is my little medicine bag that I have for Sweat Lodge. And inside of it is lavender. Now this is when you guys get to yell at me after all my herb videos on YouTube for not labeling things, but they're pretty clear what I know. It's my own personal bag and no one else touches it, so I think we're okay. We have lavender and osha, or see, it's labeled bare root instead of osha. And there's desert sage and tobacco for offerings. So all of these things are part of my spiritual apothecary. Now, can they all be used intertwined? I mean, lavender helps with your mental and emotional, just smelling it. But it also can work spiritually to change things as well. So I have another bag for a different path that I will sometimes use, and it has rose water and Florida water to help with clearing and cleansing and bringing in sweetness, Palo Santo incense, Vesta powder for getting rid of negativity, sea salt. You always need sea salt. This is not a kind you can eat. That's the coarse sea salt. There's cowrie shells for offerings, because for spiritual stuff you're going to do all kinds of things. I have some black sand for warding off space, black salt for warding off spaces. There's all kinds of goodies in here. So I consider all of this apothecary. Stag Squares asked, do you physically separate ingredients for spiritual, physical apothecary, or would you store them all in the same place? I guess that for me, a lot of those things I might store, some of those things I might store in the same place, but some of them I might store in other places. So like I have like this bag is specific to, everything that's in here is more of a Afro-Caribbean slant, more of a hoodoo voodoo slant on what is in that bag that I use for personal healing when I help people and help people in my house. The pouch that I showed you, I only use that for Sweat Lodge. I would never take anything out of there unless I was absolutely desperate. Like someone came to me and I happened to have that bag. We were at Brushwood Folklore Center and someone really needed some osha root. I know that I have osha root in that bag, so even if I didn't have medicinal tincture of osha root or something like that to give them, I would go into that bag and pull that out, because it doesn't matter what I'm going to use it for. It's used for all sorts of things. So I will intermix things, but the lavender in that bag I probably wouldn't pull out except for anything but burning smudge, which is why it's in that bag. So we are talking about more things that we can add to our spiritual apothecary. So I more consider apothecary to be things that are consumable. So I would add things like candles, maybe, to my apothecary. But I do make one exception. And my one exception is that I use a lot of crystals in my healing work. So I would add things like crystals to my apothecary, because the apothecary is about getting back into balance and about medicine. So crystals to me are medicine. No, I'm not going to eat them. I'm going to use them to help people heal, to help feel better mentally and emotionally. Some crystals can actually help with physical pain. A lot of crystals are used spiritually to set up crystal grids, which is actually a energetic type of healing work, which could work on mental, emotional, or physical, or spiritual. Stag Square says that you can consume some crystals, can't you? You're going to have to come up with some, because right now I cannot think of any of them. So, but sacred storage spaces for specific purposes. Now that makes a lot of sense. Right. So, like I said, I'm not going to be putting food into my medicine bag unless I know that I'm going to go for a long walk and that's the only thing I'm going to bring with me. I might bring a snack bar with me. So, but other than that, my medicine for physical things that I'm going to consume versus things that I'm not going to consume, I'm not going to be putting my incenses in where I have my tinctures. I do definitely keep them apart from each other. So like all of the incense and the ritual things are in one big bin that I forgot to bring in here with me. So I have all the holiday incenses and moon incenses and other resins and things that we might burn in a really nice wooden case that we keep in a different place in the house. I do consider that definitely to be part of my apothecary. We have all of our candles and things like that in a different space in the house, and I consider that to be part of my apothecary. So, Stag Square says that what he was thinking about is imbued waters. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, so, and yes, malachite and some of the other crystals are definitely toxic. So, if you know what you're doing, or you talk to people who use crystals and know the chemical part and the metaphysical part of crystals, you can talk about things like putting a small piece of eucalyptus in your water bottle because it helps balance. It is thought to help balance out the mental, emotional, and physical aspects of your hormones. So a lot of people will put the eucalyptus in their bottle and make sure they don't dump it down the drain. Eucalyptus is a very expensive crystal, but it helps with hot flashes and mood swings and things like that. So that definitely makes sense what you were talking about. And I saw Bridget said something about hydrosols. Yes, all of the aromatherapy sprays that we use to change things, the hydrosols, are definitely part of my apothecary. So I want to know what other types of things you guys have, or you guys could come up with that I haven't talked about that could be added to your apothecary. Let me know and see what we can come up with right now. I've been talking a lot about, while we wait for you guys to type in anything that I might have missed. I know you guys have been doing a good job all along, but I have been talking on the YouTube channel about, we did a lot of herb walks and things over the last several weeks, and we've been talking about spiritual balance with visiting spiritual spaces and how to work with the elements. But with the herb walks, I did some herb harvesting and herb drying and herb storing. So you've been getting a little bit led up to this apothecary thing, but I was probably leading you a little bit into just the herbal apothecary. So I wanted to expand that thought. So, Stag Squares ask, would apothecary tools be good for intersecting issues like psychosomatic symptoms? Yes. I definitely do think that that is part of how those mental, emotional, and spiritual and physical things all intertwine. Because remember that for some things, and I don't mean for the medicine apothecary, like if you're taking a tincture for hot flashes, you know, you're taking a female hormone blend tincture, like the one that I make on order for your hot flashes, taking that to fix something completely different, like trying to stop smoking with intention, is not going to work. But when we talk about using things with intention, things like incense and essential oils, and combining things to make mojo bags, like crystals and herbs and oils to make mojo intention bags, or candle spells and that sort of thing, you can work that all together to spiritually, energetically, mentally, emotionally intention for a physical healing to take place. You can set up crystal grids and put different things on them, like different herbs and things, into the crystal grids. I've seen that work very effectively to bring money or to send healing work to someone. So it just kind of depends, but the psychosomatic type of thing means that if you can get to the point where you are intending that this is what you are doing, if you believe that this is what you are doing, then that will help you to change your mental and emotional belief about it, your mental and emotional attitude about it, and give you that strength that you need to be able to overcome the issue and to move forward, get back to balance, and heal. So, I know I missed question over here. Personal Space Creations says, well, the space where you pray or meditate, and even the act of praying or meditation, might be considered apothecary. That could be very true. And, you know, if you want to go into the non-consumable things, things like your censer that you burn your incense in, or your ritual tools and things like that, can be part of your apothecary. So we can we can add those things in too. Like I said, most of the things I consider more to be consumable to go in apothecary, and the other things to be tools. So that's the line on the crystals. Are crystals consumable? To me they are, because if someone needs a crystal, they get a crystal. When I'm doing healing work, if they need a crystal, then they leave with that crystal. So, I mean, not the personal ones I need for the healing work, but with a small one that they might be able to use for that. So, Stag Squares is asking, is there a place for mass-produced things in apothecary? It's a back to the roots thing, but to me, I've seen others disagree. Well, that's where I was talking about the incense burner and the other tools. Things that I use personally, I consider them more to be tools than I do apothecary, but I can see how some people might consider those things to be apothecary. I consider these candles to be apothecary. They're mass produced. I do not make these myself. If you are looking for some really, really amazing hand-dipped chime candles, Star and Splendor has come out with her line of beeswax hand-dipped candles, and they put these to shame. But I'm still used to the regular, just little spell candles that I'm still going to carry them in the shop. So it just depends. So would you consider one type of candle over another type of candle apothecary? I guess that depends on your belief. And I can see where people are saying that apothecary has to be get back to your roots. But I also see where a lot of people hear the word apothecary. Like if you were to, I put it up, the word apothecary into the search when I was making the picture that I put up for today's live earlier. And I ended up switching that word to herbs, because when I put the word apothecary into that search, it was showing me the back half of pharmacies. It was literally showing me just medicine bottles behind a pharmacy shelf. So that's what they considered to be apothecary. But it just really depends on what your view of apothecary is. So I'm hoping to expand that view of apothecary. I'm hoping to get you to see that there are lots of ways that you can help yourself to come back to balance, from the physical balance of exercise and eating right and food, which is part of your apothecary, vitamins and supplements and herbs and herbal teas and things like that that are part of that physical apothecary, and even essential oils in the physical apothecary, to essential oils and things like that that would be in your mental, emotional apothecary, which also goes along with some of that meditation, which crosses into spiritual. Do you see how intertwined they all are? But things along that line, and then all your spiritual stuff, spiritually being off balance and feeling disconnected from source. It doesn't matter what you consider source to be. It doesn't matter how you connect to source, but in some way or another, you need to be connected to the earth or connected to source. You could call that God, you could call that goddess, you could call it Great Spirit. It doesn't matter what it is, but you need to feel connected in some sort of spiritual way, some sort of spiritual connection to keep yourself into balance. And how do you do that? Do you breathe? Are you mindful of the things that you're doing? Are you mindful of what you're putting into your body on a regular basis? And those are all the things that you need to consider about apothecary. So let's see, I got a few more questions here. Stag Square says, interesting about the pharmacy. I feel people come to apothecary to escape from that. Well, that's exactly why I was in shock, and I just decided to search for the word herbs to make the announcement for the live stream today. I was like, okay, let's not go with that apothecary word, because I guess it means of different things to different people. So, Personal Space Creation says, so my prayer rug is a tool to help me focus, not really apothecary, right? Exactly. So your prayer rug, your altar, and the things that are on your altar are your tools to help you to focus. Now, your candle could be a tool to help you to focus, because that's what it is, or you could consider it to be a piece of your apothecary because it's consumable. That's kind of where I'm drawing that line. And I don't mean consumable as in you can eat it. I mean consumable as in it is something that when you use it, it goes away and it needs to be replenished. So when you burn a candle, you're going to need to get a new candle. So it's a consumable product, not consumable eating. So what other questions do you have? I see that there's someone watching on Facebook. If you have any comments, I am not seeing them. So let me know that you're here. Give me a hashtag live, or if you guys watch this on the replay, give me a hashtag replay and let me know what questions you have. Let's get this conversation going about what types of other things you can think about that to you feels like apothecary. And maybe some of the things that we've talked about for apothecary, you don't feel are apothecary. But to me, it's about everything that helps me to come back to balance, because coming back to balance is my medicine. And that's why I'm here. That's why I have transformational healing. It's all about coming back to balance and being able to mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically work and intertwine together to help you to understand different ways that you can pull yourself back to balance. Because I think that that's really vital. And especially right now with anxiety and stress and different things like that, it's very difficult to be able to sometimes pull yourself back together, to be able to be mindful about things. And that's why I try to post every day about different ways or different words just to make you think about stuff, to make you be aware of why or how you can get back into balance. All these different things are interconnected. And so sometimes people say, what's in your shop is so broad, and they only want one aspect of what's in the shop. And I understand that. And different people come for different reasons because they all need different types of things to help them get back into balance. But all of the stuff revolves around getting back to balance. Everything revolves around the support of your tribe and being able to work together. So when you have problems, definitely post in the Facebook group, tag me and post something on IG. Send me an email, send me a message or a DM, and it will help me to come out with new videos or new live chats to sit and chat with you guys on Wednesdays and all different sorts of things. So let's see, what else? Someone said, what are some of the ways to make apothecary tools more accessible to lower class people? Those homeopathics can be very pricey. Yes, the homeopathics can get pretty pricey. I actually don't know what the price on the blue tubes is right now. I haven't bought one and had to restock one in quite a while. So I try to do what I can, and if you join the, I don't sell the homeopathy, but if you are part of the email tribe, then you get 20% off your purchase, and I run sales all of the time on different items or on the whole shop to try to make sure that different people can get things when they need them. Homeopathy, you don't need very much, so it just depends on what you have available to you. It depends on where you live, because in places like Connecticut, naturopathic physicians are licensed and they can prescribe homeopathy. So they'll have smaller vials that they make themselves of homeopathy. But, you know, if you're just going to get it at the grocery store or at the health food store, and you don't know what you're looking for, you don't want to mess up by getting the wrong one. So it's really best to try to work with someone that is licensed in your state, in your jurisdiction, to be able to do such things. Like, I don't prescribe or treat or do any of that with any of the herbs and the tinctures and things that I make. I'll tell you guys as tribe members what types of things people typically use for this type of thing. I'll say that it has been commonly used to help with respiratory issues, or that I use it myself or my family for this issue or that issue, but I don't prescribe things to people. I don't diagnose what's going on with you. I just try to help you figure out what you need so that you can make that decision, so that you can pull yourself back into balance. So I see that Bridget had to leave early. I'm sure she's going to pop back in and watch the end of it. So I hope that your mom is okay. And you're very welcome, Stag Squares. Ray Jean, I see that you said that, she says, I love your definition, that our definition is based on our perspective. Well, that's everything about what I do at Transformational Healing. It's to be able to try to understand as many worldviews as possible, to be able to speak to you from your worldview so that you can see how these things can help you and which things are best for you. Because if you have a certain belief system that you live around, that you use, that is your spiritual belief system, or your mental emotional belief system, if you really aren't that much of a spiritual person, then when I say that we're going to do a cleansing or a healing on you, you might be okay with energy healing, but you're probably not going to be okay with tobacco and Florida water and cigars, but you might be okay with a holy water blessing. And that's perfectly fine. Each person gets what they need depending on where they're coming from. And I try to be able to also speak to you from that point of view as well, so that there are different products that you'll be able to figure out which ones might be part of your apothecary and which ones you would leave out of your apothecary. Everyone's apothecary is going to be completely different. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in. Feel free to type in questions if you're watching on the replay, and I'll try to catch up with them later on tonight. Tomorrow's YouTube video is going to be about herbal teas, or should I say, is there such a thing as an herbal tea? We're going to talk about tisanes and decoctions and what the difference is, how you make each, when you would use each, and is there such a thing as herbal tea? I guess you'll have to come see tomorrow on YouTube to figure that out. I've decided to move all the videos to 3 o'clock, and I might even move these lives to YouTube on Wednesday, because it might be easier to have everybody all in one place instead of trying to share it to all the different places and have a bunch of different videos going. So I thought maybe we'll do Wednesday's lives on YouTube as well, and we'll do everything at 3 o'clock every day. So I don't see any questions coming in, so thank you all for watching, and thank you for watching on the replay, and I will see you guys maybe tomorrow on YouTube. I'll be watching it live with you, or maybe next week. So many blessings, tribe, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Keep your eyes open for a full moon sale. There's a full moon on Sunday. There'll be a sale going on, and I will see you very soon.